he had his operation, they had to turn the machine off because they kept thinking his heart had stopped. His resting heart rate's at about 32 beats a minute.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Gabby. In a moment, Danny Mills, the former England and Premier League defender, is going to join us on the podcast, but not to talk football, to talk being a proud parent with his son George getting ready to run in Tokyo.
Yeah, looking forward to speaking to him about that. And we might get a little bit of football in as well. We had some really lovely messages because we did a tribute to Ricky Hatton earlier this week, and you've sent in your thoughts about him. So thank you so much for that. And please keep getting in touch with the show at thesportsagents@global.com, or you can find us on social media or via the link in the episode description. And we do love it when you subscribe and follow when you're listening.
Yes, and leave us a message as well. Leave us a review if you would like. We're going to talk the World Athletics in a moment, but we've really gone fully Champions League mode this week, haven't we? Between the two of us.
You were on the Match of the Day highlights last night, and I'm doing tonight. This is Thursday. I'm doing tonight. I enjoyed last night. I did live Tuesday. I did the match on Spurs on Tuesday. Spurs Villarreal. They won 1-0 own goal. But last night was a much more exciting crop of games, it would appear.
There've been loads. Not the one you were at, admittedly, but there have been a load of good games.
The 4-4 Juventus.
The Juventus Borussia Dortmund 4-4 being one of them, but even sort of Bodo Glimt coming back to draw 2-2 against Slavia Prague with a sort of Tony Yeboah and Karabakh beating Benfica. So there are so many storylines with it, and look, they're not. They are daft at times, UEFA, but they're not daft in how they schedule this first week. And 6 games on a Tuesday, 6 on a Wednesday, 6 on a Thursday, with some of the really big, high-profile games first up, because this format will allow them to, sprinkle those high-profile games throughout the 8 or 9 match days, whatever it is.
You had amongst your guests last night Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, who is doing Strictly as well. Now, knowing you probably didn't ask him anything about Strictly, did you? You probably just skirted around it.
I did. Not on air, but I did because people were mumbling about it in the office. So I just sort of said, and everybody always says, "Oh, you'll be next." And I'll go, it's never going to happen. It's never, ever, ever going to happen.
Especially now you work Saturdays.
As I work, Saturdays. So, what a bonus to
is
be
he enjoying it?
To say that. He is absolutely. And then he went, "You will do it." And I went, "No, I won't do it, Jimmy." He went, "But it's so much fun." And I went, "Well, could you dance a bit?" And so he went, "No, I just sort of dance with my kids in the kitchen, but no, I can't. But it is so much fun." And then he went into kind of some position for like that. I'm doing this, but
holding you in his arms.
No, he didn't hold me. He was sat on the settee, like for how you. You've done it. What's that for a slow dance? What's that one?
Well, that's just a hold for any of the ballrooms.
All right, don't be so. I don't know, do I? Anyhow, he did that, and he said that is so hard to maintain that position for the 2 minutes.
You've got to have your chest out, your back in the right position. It is really tough if you've had no dance experience. I think he's got a daughter who's in musical theatre.
Right.
I think.
Okay.
Who's very talented. Young daughter who is very. I think she might have. I'll check this, but I think she might have played the young Tina Turner in Tina Turner.
Oh, wow.
I think, yeah. And so I'm sure he's getting a few times. I bet if you are that way inclined as a child and your dad is doing Strictly, it's the dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another bonus. I don't have any musical theatre inclined children. So they're not walking around with jazz hands everywhere going, "Dad, you should be doing Strictly."
Can we talk? It was difficult to choose last night which game to go for. Whether I was flicking between Liverpool and Chelsea, and when Liverpool went 2-0 up, you think, "Oh, this is job done." You flick over to Chelsea, and having a look at Harry Kane. Of course, I'd heard you talking about him earlier in the evening, and obviously he's doing great guns again.
Oh yeah.
Season. But interesting, Liverpool. We were about to kind of head up to bed, and Kenny went, "Oh, this is draw now. It's drawn." I said, "No, they'll come. They're going to win. They're going to win this. They're going to win this." And he's a Man United fan, and he's like, "This is just so reminiscent what they're doing."
We were sitting in the office, and there are a fair few people in the office, people doing the analysis, Jimmy, Leon, Julien Laurent, and it was they will score. They are going to score, and they have that aura about them now. They have that psychology about them that will get into the minds of the other of the other team. You know, there have been late goals in every single game that they have played this season since the Community Shield that has got them out of a hole, and the other team must feel it. And you could still sense it coming last night.
I feel it feels like something that you want to look deeper into, and thinking, should we talk about? But what is it? It's like it's that belief and that sense of kind of we're not going to be beaten is something that you just can't create that, can you? It comes through winning.
I mean, yes, and that we had that on. And then, but the other thing I just flagged from last night, which wasn't involving either of the English teams involved, Paris Saint-Germain looked really good last night. And I know that's a fairly obvious thing to say when they are the sort of reigning champions.
Because Atalanta did very well last season, didn't they, in the Champions League? So
they look really, really good. And when you do tonight, you've got Newcastle, Barcelona, which we'll touch on a little bit later on, won't we?
Yes, we will. And Luis Enrique, I did see this on one of the rugby accounts that I follow on Instagram. He started watching the first half from on high, basically in a box.
Why would you not? Do you know? Do you not? I mean,
this is what they do in rugby.
Yeah. I asked. I talked to Jimmy Floyd about it last night about why would you not do that? And back in the day, Big Sam did it all the time, didn't he? Sam Allardyce. But I don't. Chelsea's a really good example of this. So there are two different presenting points for radio at Chelsea. There's one high up in the stand and there's one in the lower press box. And it depends how busy it is and a little bit luck of the draw, I think, where you are. But when you're on high, obviously you get an amazing tactical view of everything that's going on in the game. When you are low down, the tactical side of it is much harder to follow because you're so low. But what you do get is a real sense of the pace of the game and how fast it is. So you do get a different perspective on it. But I asked so many managers this, why do you not just go and sit up there and get a real tactical feel for it, particularly in the first half? And Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank poo-pooed this a bit, but I still think I slightly disagree with him on this. I think there are a lot of managers who worry about what their own fan base think of their body language and what they're doing.
So they want to be, and also, do they affect the referee by being?
I would say Diego Simeone probably did last night before he tried to chin someone.
Put it on in a good way. He's only ever a few seconds away from combusting, isn't he? He's got that look,
which is brilliant. But so many managers, I think, do though, Gabby, don't they? They worry about what they can influence from sitting up there, what their own fan base will think of them if they're not stood in a technical area, pointing or shouting or whatever it is. And that's why they don't sit themselves up there. But Luis Enrique probably now doesn't have to worry about what the fan base think about him because he's won the Champions League with them, and now he can sit up there with his sort of massive headphones on.
This platform built at the training ground, training ground. So he's kind of been into looking down tactically on his team for a while. You know what I mean? Before we say hello to Danny Mills about his son George Mills, who's about a day away from racing his first race at the World Athletics Championships. Just a word on Jake Wightman yesterday. I ended up having to watch this on my laptop because I couldn't get the TV to work for some reason. Yes, I was working at home, and all our system went down. I was like, no, I don't want to hear this on the radio. I want to see this. I know the radio commentary is brilliant, but I wanted to see the race. And I love Steve Cram's commentary on it. I mean, on a 1500 meters, who wouldn't? It's his event, right? And it was an incredible race. And Jake Wightman came and sat with us in the studio in Budapest a year after he'd won the World Athletics Championships. He was reigning champion from Oregon, had terrible injuries that year. So that's 2 years ago. This is the first time he's raced in a global championship since he won, because he's missed 2 championships with injuries. He's had a terrible, terrible time. And one of the things, I'm getting tinkles about it now, that he said post-race is that on his way on the bus to the first heat, he said to himself, if you blow this, that's it. You're done. You've finished. You've got nothing left. And he was really kind of giving himself quite negative talk almost, which obviously, he was feeling quite like, I've had 3 horrendous years of injury. And this is the end. He's 31 years old, and he threw himself at the line, and he just missed by I think 200th of a second. But he was incredible and got a silver. So I was so pleased. Such a great guy. So it was
imagine having to sort of say that in your head before the first. I mean,
Yeah, you've
That's
done.
so
You've finished.
hard on
I
yourself,
know.
isn't
I
it?
mean, he got and if you know the backstory, he was coached by his dad until last year. He's changed his coaching setup. His dad is the announcer in the stadium, Jeff, and so he announces his races, and he's a great guy, and it's really lovely when the good guys come out on not on top but silver, but it feels like on top.
Yeah. On top for him. On top
Yeah,
for him.
exactly.
Did you just have to turn your TV off and turn it back on again? Is that?
Pretty much. Oh, we've got a stupid system. I'm not going to go into it here, but if anybody can fix it, please get in touch.
We're going to talk about another of our great British middle distance hopes in Tokyo. George Mills, son of Danny. He's arguably been British Athlete of the Year. After the break, we'll catch up with his dad, who will be watching nervously from the stands this weekend. You were often, Danny, thank you very much for joining us. You would often have been asked this as a player. So as a dad, how are you feeling?
Nervous. Very, very nervous. It's always this way with athletics. Massive highs, massive lows. It's tough. Football's a lot easier to watch. 100%. So much. There's second chances, there's opportunities. Athletics, as we know, we've seen already. In these championships, it's been crazy. Some really strange results, some freak results, if you like. And for a lot of these athletes, a year's worth of work comes down to one race or one event.
You're quite right. And your son Stan plays obviously as well, so you get to dip in and out of both of their careers watching them. You make a mistake in the first 5 minutes of a football match, you can end up being man of the match, player of the match, can't you? As long as you
can score an own goal, give away a penalty. Don't score hat trick. You
make a mistake in a 5,000, 1,500 meter race, and it's done.
And that's the problem. We saw it in London. Unfortunately, obviously George got tripped in London, broke his wrist. Obviously, that's hampered his training a little bit. At that point, had to have an emergency operation, if you like, and several screws and plates in his wrist. But it is what it is. You have to deal with this, and you have to get ready. He's as ready as he can be. He's worked incredibly hard this year. But I think, you've seen from what happened in the 1500s, surprises happened left, right, and centre. In athletics. Obviously, Jakob's been injured. Josh Kerr obviously, limped out of the final. Cole Hocker gets disqualified. It's probably one of the most open 1500
as
metres
George
we've ever
mentioned.
seen.
Has George said to you that he maybe should have gone for the 15 when he saw what happened in the 1500 metres?
No, not at all. I mean, it's bizarre because I think George has got the third fastest time in the world this year at 1500. But Habs went out early on. Koech went out as well. You're then thinking of Kerr and Laros are going to be the favourites. Obviously, neither of them medal. It's been a strange championship. 10,000 metres was quite strange as well, the way that was run. I think the humidity is playing a huge part in the heat, which is not easy. George has put himself in the best possible position. He's fit, he's ready to go. We just need a fair wind and a bit of luck to get through to the final.
And how does he deal with the unpredictability of the sport and the requirement that everybody needs a fair wind and a bit of luck? What's his personality like? How different is he to you?
I think there's a lot of process that goes into it. George I think you have to rely on your body and rely on how you feel in those moments. George has been training for some time now. Going into Oslo, he knew that he was in good shape. Obviously, in January, February, broke the 3,000 metre record. Sort of knew that was likely to happen. Went into Oslo, knowing what sort of shape he was in. And as said, he said, I'm going to run 12:48, something like that. Not running 12:46. It's incredible how these athletes know their own body. But this is championship racing. I expect tomorrow it could be 14 minutes for the 5K. Somewhere around that, which sounds ludicrous, but that's slow. And that's going to come down to a 2-lap, a 1-lap, a 200-metre burn-up at the end. And that makes everybody very, very dangerous in this sport. So, he's just got to back himself. He'll have gone through scenarios with his team, all the different what might happen. what could happen? What if somebody takes it out fast? What if somebody takes a breakaway? What if it's ridiculously slow? And you've just got to be prepared for that. You know, all these athletes they're all in the same. They're all in the same race. They're all in the same conditions. You know, most of these guys are all sub-13 guys. They're all quick. So we just have to wait and see what happens.
Are you? You said you were nervous at the very beginning when Mark asked you how you're feeling, and obviously, you know, you really know the sport now. You know, you can hear that the way you're talking there. You know, you really follow it, you understand it, and every time I've spoken to you about it, kind of, you know, off camera, if you like, you can see you appreciate just how tough it is to be good at this sport and to get to the very top. You must be so proud of what George has done over the last few years and how he's applied himself, and
I think
he's so singularly focused, as you have to be. And when you compare that to a footballer's life, does that make you appreciate even more what those guys are doing?
Yeah, 100%. It's way harder to be an athlete than it is a footballer. You know, and his brother will admit that. You know, it's the training process is so much more difficult. I mean, George is running on average 200k a week. You know, at altitude. You know, that's enormous. That's 15 miles a day, 7 days a week, every single day. Most of them are on that split between 2 sessions. You know, he'll be running at the moment at about 3 or 4% body fat. You know, which for most people you're in hospital because, you know, that's way too low to live off. But equally, he's eating about 6,000 calories at the same time. His resting heart rate when he had his operation, they had to turn the machine off because they kept thinking his heart had stopped because his resting heart rate's at about 32 beats a minute. And of course, you know, if it drops below sort of like, you know, 45, the alarms start going off because people think something's gone wrong. So, you know, and this is all these 5K guys, 1,500 guys. They're all at that level. You know, what it takes to get to this level. And George will say there are no sacrifices. There's no magic. This is about hard work, consistency. He's been doing the same thing, eating the same thing, running the same tracks, doing the same thing day in, day out for the last 3 or 4 years. And that's all it is. And that's the dedication, that's the hard bit. That's the relentlessness that is hard.
And it's away from, you know, the attention that other sports get, because you only have those short periods, don't you, where you are in the spotlight.
Oh, I mean, so, you know, George has probably had 6 or 7 races this year. Obviously, you know, European indoor silver was magnificent. Then got flu and couldn't make it out to China for the World Championships indoors. Came off the back of that, had some good races. Obviously, then had his eyes set on Mo Farah's record in Oslo, you know, which he broke, which is no mean feat in itself. And then 2 or 3 days later, ran again, and then on the Friday, ran 3:28 for the 15 in Paris. It's relentless. You know, you have to learn to peak at the right times. I always say that the stars, for any athlete, the stars have to align. Look at what Jake Wightman did last night.
Yeah.
The stars have to align. The race was perfect for Jake. If it had been a ridiculously quick race, then it might not have happened. But, you know, he took his opportunity and he was so unlucky, obviously, not to get that goal.
Can he ever give himself some time off? You know, when you talk about some of those stats there and the body fat and the resting heart rate and stuff, can he ever give himself, you know, 3 weeks of whatever he wants to eat and whatever he wants to do?
It's quite interesting because obviously this is now this is the last of the season. Previous World Championships and Olympics, there has still been Diamond Leagues afterwards, and you've still got to carry on running. So his plan is after this, he'll have 2 weeks off probably, and he'll eat ice cream, and he'll eat what he wants. He'll probably have a drink, and then realise he either doesn't like the taste of it, or he's got a headache. So yeah, and then he'll be back into it. You know, the plan is already set out for next year. Obviously, there's indoors and then Europeans next year. Bizarrely, the Commonwealths come a week before the Europeans, which I think is that's a bit weird because I think most athletes are going to have to prioritise, and they'll choose the Europeans. I would have thought. Obviously, that's in Birmingham. But he loves what he does. it's he's no Ian Dennis Chappers. Put it that way.
He'll love the fact that he gets a mention on a completely different, but that his diet spreads through different companies.
And his diet does spread somewhat.
Are you when you watch a race, how do you watch it? And when I ask that, I'm thinking of, I know some parents who have seen their son play test match cricket and be on the verge of 100 and have still stood out the back of the pavilion because they can't bear to watch those last few runs be accumulated.
First, it's like, right, okay, touch wood, just get round safe. That's the most important thing. Stay out of trouble. That's not easy, and we've seen in this championships, it's definitely not easy. When there's big bunches of groups together, and then it's a course of, right, okay, how's he looking? You can tell from the way he's running sometimes whether he trusts his body, what sort of shape he's in, how he's feeling. And then, the last few laps is, when it starts to ramp up and go for it, I will be there, shouting as best as possible, banging the hoardings if I need to. I've come away with a sore wrist, sore hand.
Have you got a T-shirt that says George Mill's dad or anything?
No, nothing like that. But yeah, we're here. There's the family are out here. The whole family's here apart from his brother, obviously, who's playing at the moment. We've got friends out here as well.
Do you hang out with the other athletes' families? Because I was at the Olympics, where our studio was.
No,
I was sat near Georgia Hunter Bell's. I was sat near Georgia Hunter Bell's family, and obviously she was something of a surprise bronze in that 1500. She's going in the 800. Their heats start today, actually, don't they? Or is it tomorrow? I think the finals are next to each other, aren't they? The women's 800 and the men's 15, which we hope Georgia's going to be in, and we hope Georgia and Keely are going to be in the 800, are right next to each other on Sunday. They're bang kind of like in the schedules. And her family were T-shirted up, so I could see it was her family. And her dad just kept pacing up the stairs. And I don't think he actually watched the race. He just paced up and down the whole time.
We are one of the most nervous families watching athletics. It's like a couple of hours, as it starts to ramp up, a couple of hours, no one speaks to each other. It goes very, very silent. Yeah. We all have our little sort of idiosyncrasies. His mum gets sort of like very excited. I go very, very quiet, don't speak to anybody. The heart rate starts to go up. And I think if you put the right heart rate on monitors on all the family, obviously his brother and sister here as well, it'd be through the roof. But we're here to support him. He's done amazingly well, to get to this stage. So far, he's had a fantastic year, but he wants more. That's not enough for him. Just being here is like, I'm not turning up to be here. I need to do well. I need to be. So, like I said, it's a world-class field, 2 very, very strong heats to get through. And like I said, we just hope and wait and see.
When you go quiet and don't talk to anybody, can anybody tell the difference between whether the race
is about... Not really, Chappers.
No, okay.
People just think I'm even more miserable than normal. That's probably why no one mixes with us either.
It'll be morning in Tokyo when City get their Champions League campaign going against Napoli. Danny, will you be able to watch that? Have you been dipping into it?
No, we are. I know, what is it now? We're 7 o'clock here now. Obviously, flew in today. So just come out for a little local bite to eat. Just picked some random restaurant that was full. So therefore, it must be half decent. And it'll be sleep tonight, and then it'll be a long wait tomorrow. It'll be a tough day tomorrow. There'll be a lot of anxiety, floating around from the family. People say, "Oh, you get to see George." No, we won't see George until it's over. He's locked away. He's in camp. He's coaching.
And then you hope that he's not had to go for drug testing, and he's gone for another 2 hours after the race.
I mean, touch wood, he gets through. We won't see him. We won't see him until it's over.
Till the final.
That. Yeah. There's no. I mean, this is not holiday camp. He's here to do a job. And that's when they talk about Chappers, when they talk about footballers, is it difficult when they have to be locked away for a certain amount of time? Have you seen what athletes do? They live at altitude for 6 months. They live in the middle of South Africa, where there's like 300 people live in the town. There's not even a track there. It's just dirt tracks and whatever. They eat, sleep, run, repeat. That's it. There's almost no contact with the outside world. So, no, he's in his zone. He's got an amazing team around him. One of the most supportive team that I've ever known in athletics. They are absolutely superb, and we'll just leave them to do their thing.
Right. Well, thank you for giving us your time. Get back to that restaurant. We wish you well, him well, the family well, friends well. Manage those nerves as best you can.
I will do my best. I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, like I said, it's athletics is about the stars aligning for people. You can do everything possible. It all comes down to one race, effectively, and that's not easy for any athlete. So, yeah, my heart goes out to all parents, all fans of athletics, watching somebody, because it's tough.
You're absolutely on the money there, Danny, and you've really, I think, articulated well the struggles and the challenges to be a top athlete. But as you say, they all absolutely love it, don't they? So they are in the place they want to be. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Danny.
Interesting, Mark. Danny Mills had no time to chat football then. It was all athletics, wasn't it? You could just see how completely he talked about George being in the zone.
Yeah.
And he's in the zone.
Absolutely, yeah. And I would imagine, I think any parent listening to this will know what it's like when their child is doing something that is really important or really matters to them and stuff. You become consumed by it as well. In your head, definitely you can't think of anything else. And he's definitely in that zone.
I love how he always has whenever I've spoken to him. He's just so overwhelmed and impressed by how dedicated athletes are, I think, compared to the life he had as a footballer. He's always been just so effusive about what these guys and girls and what they do.
3 to 4% body fat. The discipline you must have.
Mine is 6, so I don't know how they get it that low. I'm obviously joking.
Talk about being put in quite a difficult position as your co-presenter there. I'm quite sure what I meant to say.
I didn't realise it would be so easy to get Mark cancelled. Right, should we talk about something I know?
Just talk about anything. Just get us into a break, will you?
I was going to say, we're talking about something I know you're much more comfortable with.
Crikey, you could pick any subject I might be more comfortable with here.
But luckily for you, it's Champions League. See you in a few minutes. So I am really excited because it's the end of a long Champions League week, but they've saved the best till last, Chappers, because St James's Park welcomes back Champions League football this evening with the visit of Barcelona, albeit without Lamine Yamal, but we can overlook that because I think there's enough excitement in that stadium and in the city that they don't need
No. Hansi Flick has described it as the best atmosphere in the Premier League at St James's Park. And I don't want to name drop here, and I won't go into too much details, but I spent quite a bit of time with Thomas Tuchel yesterday, and he's going to St James's Park tonight to watch this. And he was so excited about going up for this game, and just as a fan of football.
Tuchel is a Geordie. Yeah.
Didn't say he would be supporting anybody, but he was so excited to be going to witness that atmosphere on a Champions League night.
That match, because when the fixtures come out, you don't know. And we do the Tuesday game on Prime, and I was just gutted that we couldn't get a trip up. In fact, none of our fixtures to Christmas are going to be at St James's Park, which is for me personally a bit devastating. And the fact that I'm doing the match of the day,
you're sat in Salford rather than at St James's Park.
I'll tell you who else isn't there, and you won't believe this. Alan Shearer agreed to go to America for the Premier League about 2 months ago before the fixtures came out, and he can't get out the trip. So he'll be on a plane flying to America tonight when Newcastle are playing Barcelona. And of course, the memories that flood back, Tino Asprilla's hat-trick in 97, that amazing night, and a 3-2 win, of course, with the likes of Figo, Rivaldo, Enrique, we've talked about on the podcast already today. That was a team flooded with stars. So let's hope we can evoke those kinds of memories again tonight.
You can catch up with all of our episodes on YouTube, Global Player, or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember to hit subscribe or follow and leave us a review.
As always, we love you getting in touch with us on email, thesportsagents@global.com, or on our socials or via the form in the show notes.
We'll be back tomorrow with our weekend edition, which features the full interview with Matchroom CEO Eddie Hearn after the release of a new Netflix documentary, The Greatest Showman. So he's always good value to talk to, isn't he? I enjoyed that interview.
Yeah, he was brilliant. And he spoke so much kind of about his childhood and his dad and him being a parent and how it's affected the kind of way he looks at his own kids, the way his dad was with him. And I think the documentary, by all accounts, is what you call warts and all, I think.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. That will be available from Friday afternoon. So make sure you're subscribed and that will just land in your feed.
Thanks for listening.
The Sports Agents
with Gabby Logan and Mark Chapman.